Like more of the technical side of things, not the actual. Do us a favour.
Yep.
I think your thing's just out, so you have to just unplug it.
Oh, sorry, do I?
You're right, unplug it.
Sorry.
Is it on? Oh, you are.
Oh, I fixed. I just hit streaming. Yeah, that's all right.
Sweet.
All right, let's get it started. Hello, everybody. It's October the 14th, 2019. Welcome back to Concepts with Kalantar. We've had a little bit of a hiatus while I got some much-needed R&R, and now I'm back. So today's concept is sports psychology with my guest, Liam Zollo. Hello, Liam. How are you, mate?
How are you, buddy? Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to be on your show.
Liam is far too humble, which is also, I guess, the name of your novel, The Humble Hero, which is a story about Liam. By way of background, Liam is, I guess, a true Renaissance man. He has started a really successful online coaching business. He set many goals for himself, which he's managed to achieve. He's an athlete and a sportsman. He was my coach for a period of time when I experienced some of the best health I've ever had. So I've had Liam. Liam and I have been friends for about a year, and he also helped set up this podcast. So I'm very grateful to him.
Thank you, man. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm super excited. There's one or two shows that I've actively said to you that I want to be a part of, and this is one of them. So I'm looking forward to it,
mate. It goes both ways. So I kind of really want to hammer down on your philosophy, Liam, because in terms of your philosophy on how you approach problems, challenges, that's a really fascinating thing to me. But I just kind of want to start a bit with your story. Can you tell us a little bit about your background for people who don't really know who you are and what you've achieved?
Yeah, for sure. My background, I guess I came here when I was 3 years old. I was born in Yorkshire, Hull, England. So I'm actually an England-born baby, but now with a bogan accent. So, and I'm actually got Italian background, but I've got the ginger inside me. So I don't know what's going on here. I should have an olive complexion like my brother and my dad, but it's still waiting to come out at 32 years old. So, I came here when I was about 3 years old. I came to Australia because my granddad's a Kyokushin karate president of Kyokushin Karate internationally.
No way.
Yeah, random one.
I had no idea. That's awesome.
It's a random one. So my mum actually moved here in the 60s with my granddad, and then moved back home, and then granddad moved back over here. He loved it so much and moved to Tamarama. So I think he bought a house in Tamarama in the 60s or 70s. So he's been a Bronte boy ever since, Eastern Suburbs boy ever since, and then we moved over here because he just wanted us to be more closer to him. So, that's our initial reason why we came. And then, that's why ever since then I feel like I've just had this opportunity. Every time I go back to Hull, there's nothing wrong with Hull. I love Hull. My family's from Hull. Still got aunties and uncles there, but I always go back there and then come back to the eastern suburbs. I'm blessed. I'm just blessed to be part of just to be in the eastern suburbs of Sydney, just to be moving to Bronte when I'm a 3 or 4 year old. I think that's what I wake up every day with, that sense of I guess I don't know, gratitude. I know I sound a bit fluffy in that, but
not at all.
I just always have that, wow, look at where I am, man. I could be 4 kids in Hull now.
You know what? It's so fascinating you say that, because I often think, because my family moved here when I was a baby as well from Iran, and I just think how different my life would be if I had stayed there, or if certain choices I had nothing to do with were made. How different my experience on this planet would be, because the first lottery in life is really where you're born. I mean, where you're born it determines so much about your sort of life and sort of where it went. But I guess you've got this athleticism in your genes. So yeah. Were you a karate aficionado at a young age?
I actually did karate when I was 7, and my granddad, I think I was there for about a month or 2. And I said to my granddad, "I'm your grandson. I should have a black belt already." And he goes, "Get out of my dojo." And I've never been back since.
Oh wow!
So I should have probably kept with it now. So Kyokushin karate is a really obviously MMA is taken off as the main leader of, people wanting to get into self-defense is MMA or jiu-jitsu. But then at the same time, like Kyokushin karate has a unique background of being that particular karate that has a lot of physical elements to it, and famous people like George St. Pierre. I don't know if that's your viewer base. Yeah,
everybody knows GSP.
He started with GSP, started with Kyokushin karate. So he's a black belt at Kyokushin karate, and then he eventuated into jiu-jitsu, and then MMA, and then the rest is history. So yeah, it's that's how I sort of started. But my thing was always rugby league. I was always into. Ever since I was 5 years old, I was always kicking the footy at the park. I've always been into rugby leagues. From 5 years old to about 25 is when I quit, stopped playing footy. But that's where my athleticism, I guess, started from, was the rugby league background.
And you played at a very high level, didn't you? Can you tell me a little bit about your rugby league career?
Yeah, I mean, look. It depends on who you talk to, so as I said before, success is subjective. Most people would think that, you're successful if you made the NRL. Like, I come to the conclusion when I was 21 years old that or 22, I'm not going to play in the NRL, just because I had a string of injuries and I was sort of out of the mix by then. I played under 20s Sydney Roosters, but I wasn't a regular starter. I played under 20s there, and I was really down about it because I spent 5 years from when I was 15 to 20 years old trying to make that one team,
Yep.
And it's funny how when we talk about goal setting, I got to accomplish that goal, but I should have asked for more, like I was 15 years old and I was training with the under 20 guys when I was 15 just to make that under 20s team. I made the under 18s Roosters team, but I didn't get a game. And I'm like, well, 3 games into that season, I'm like, well, I'm moving straight up to 20s because that's what I really want.
Sure.
And then when it came to the 20s season, all that training, all that hard work, like I wasn't even contracted, but I just used to rock up to the trainings, ask the coaches, can I come and train? Just to make sure that I can, be in good nick for when I'm under 20s. That's my year, because I thought in the back of my mind, under 20s is the propeller that will, lead you into first grade. When you're in that system, you're in the first grade system. So that's how I thought about it. And I made it to the 20s, played a few games, and I got dropped since. So that was in the back of my mind. I achieved the goal, but I didn't really define it. That's where I made my biggest error in my life, in terms of goal setting. And I learned a valuable lesson from that. Like, you always get what you ask, and not in a law of attraction way, but if you genuinely say, I'm going for this, and you're going to get there. Like, I wanted to put a Roosters jersey on my back. That was my goal.
Sure.
I got to do it 3 times, but I didn't make first grade. I'm like, fuck, I should have I should have said, let's go for first grade. So, but then after that, I got the opportunity to play for the Australian universities team. Always in the back of my mind, I always wanted to play for Australia.
Yep.
I said that. I always wanted to play for a nation. So I got to play for the Australian universities tertiary rugby league team. It's not the Australian national rugby league team. It was the Australian universities. But then I got to play for the Italian...
with your country.
Yeah, Italian national rugby league team as well. Like the actual Italian team. So...
I think you're being way too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome, dude.
It's good. It's sort of hard to talk about because it's like, how do you say it without bragging? But I got to accomplish the things that I wanted to achieve, and that's why I always share it with people, because if this numbnuts over here can achieve something like that, I think anyone can. Like, I just don't think it's athleticism. People talk about you've got to be a certain height for a rugby league player. You've got to be a certain speed to play that position. I played on the wing. I'm not a winger. I was a hooker. But it was the fact that I always put my hand up for any position, that a position came available in the Italian national team as a winger, and I'm like, I'll put up my hand and go for it. There's a deeper story on that winger story, but I don't want to go down that path.
Well, we'll leave that there for the second, and we'll kind of, you've sort of in your 32 years, in a very short period of time, you've set and achieved some really impressive athletic goals. And I want you to not be humble. I mean, you're here because you've got the concept, and I'm trying to learn from you.
Yep.
But you've fought in an MMA fight, and you did quite well in that. You have written a very a really cool book called The Humble Hero, which we'll talk about in length. And you've set and achieved some really hard goals, and I kind of want to break that process down, because I am not an athletic person at all. I was probably your hardest client to work with.
No, not at all. I really enjoy your positive attitude is the number one thing that will help you go to great lengths. I reckon it always starts with positivity.
Well, yeah, I completely agree with that. But I mean, it's not something that comes naturally to me. So it's really interesting when I meet someone, and you've also told me, look, it doesn't naturally come to me. There's days I don't want to train. There's days I don't want to sort of do these sort of put my body on the line.
Weeks. The last 2 weeks I haven't trained.
But that is where I want to understand, where is this deeper psychology coming from? So let's break this down into sort of, how do you pick the goal you want to go for next?
All right, so the process that I usually follow, I've been thinking about this. We
had a bit of a pre-chat.
Yeah, so I sort of set it into 3 phases, I think. The first phase is awareness. The awareness phase is really just to try and understand whether this goal that I want to be working towards, or that sort of industry or whatever it is, like, because it could be a podcast recording studio, it could be a MMA fight, it could be a Guinness World Record, like all the marathon, like all these different ones. I'll probably go down the path of the Guinness World Record. I could go down the path of talking about the
Let's talk about the Guinness World Record. Everyone loves the Guinness World Record.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, I mean, look, it starts with that internal drive. Like, as I was mentioning before, that if I try and focus on beating a personal trainer, that's external driven. If I try and get more clients than the personal trainer next door, or try and tell everyone around me that I'm a better personal trainer than the person next door, that's a goal. That's sort of like, doesn't sit right with me. It's ugly, you know. And when I'm explaining that to people, how do I explain my success to people when it's driven by someone else's success?
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it's always got to be a point, that awareness, it's because comparison and competition is the thief of joy. I think comparison is the thief of joy, but I reckon competition or competing with other people is the thief of joy. I think creation is the most important thing that you could try and work towards. So that awareness around it, like just not getting caught in that trap of comparing myself to other people, and try and pick a goal that's externally driven. I try and go internally first. That's phase 1.
Okay, so let's drill down on phase 1, because that fascinates me. How do you kind of, in this world, and it's a particularly difficult world not to compare oneself to others, how do you mindfully and consciously not do that? Do you have any tools that you use to sort of be like, okay, he's on his journey, she's on her journey, I'm on my journey?
Yeah, I think it goes into the second phase of it as well, like that awareness. Like if I try and say, for example, I use the personal training background because there was like 5 other personal trainers around me in Maroubra. That's where I used to do personal training, group fitness. So there was times where I was obviously seeing the trainer next door to me having 20 people in the group, and I had 10. I'm like, I'm a failure,
Yeah.
But that's it's sort of when I started to realize, like, okay, stuff all that. What is it that I would love to be proud of? And then I come up with these 3 questions, and that's phase 2 of an actual getting into the goal side of things. I think it's really important. It's like, if I have these 3 questions, then I can sort of feel like I've distract me from comparing to other people. Like I'm just running my own journey. I'm on my own race. So yeah, there's awareness around it. Like I don't want to compare myself, and it's really hard when you say you don't want to compare yourself. The first thing you think about is comparing yourself. You know what I mean? So
don't think of a brown elephant.
Exactly right. I'm thinking of a brown elephant. So the phase 2 is, if I go into these questions, it's like something pops up like a popcorn moment for me. Usually, like that self-actualization moment. It's like, wouldn't it be cool if I set a world record? I'm like, whoa. And that if I have that question, that's question 1. Wouldn't it be cool if?
Yeah.
And I told you before, I stole that from a Google director or something like that. I'm open and honest. I can't remember where I heard it from, but they always start with that. Like, wouldn't it be cool if I did that?
Yeah.
And that really, like, I'm not even thinking about the personal trainer next door with his or her 20 people in their group. I'm just thinking about, wouldn't it be cool if I set a world record? Yeah, okay, that's pretty cool. And then the next question is like, does it excite me and scare me both simultaneously? And
Sure.
I chatted to you about it before as well. Like, if something just scares me, then it's working from a point of survival, and I think that I've been anxious in the past. Like we've all had moments of anxiety. I feel like that's not. I don't want to be just an anxious, driven goal. So it has to excite me as well. But if it's just exciting, then it's like kindling on the fire.
Yep.
So it's like just. People say I'm gonna build, I don't know, like a podcast studio. I'm gonna build a podcast studio. Wow, that's really exciting. There's no fear that's driving you as well.
Yep.
Because you have to have both, I think, at the same time, and that's subjective. It's all subjective. Like my fear and excitement's got to work hand in hand. So does it excite me and scare me? So the question one is, wouldn't it be cool if I accomplished a Guinness World Record? Does it excite me and scare me? Yeah, fucking oath it does. And then number 3 question is, how important is it to me? And then on a deeper level, like, how proud am I going to be to talk about this if I accomplish it? You know what I mean?
All right. So you set your goal, and let's talk about that third one again. That pride element, that sense of accomplishment. With the sense of accomplishment, that also has to be an internal thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not about externally validating. It's that I pushed myself to become the kind of person that could achieve a world record. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, exactly right. Like, I like I always get proud of myself knowing that, wow, people say that about, wow, you did that. Like, I get excited about that. It's something that just it drives me to do more of those things. It might be addictive. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm still working that one out. But like, it's a good feeling when people come to you and say, wow, you did that. Like, it's more of that's why I like to be, other people talk about it rather than me exerting it and say, I'm a Guinness World Record holder. That's why I try and stay humble, because it's more of a better feeling to open up the floor and have that conversation in a barbecue
absolutely.
or something like that. So yeah, I think I always propel myself into the future of, when I'm 80 or 90 years old and I'm talking to my grandkids about that. Like, I'm never going to remember the time where I lost, if I bounce over to the MMA fight, because I was 13 kilos overweight.
Wow.
I'm never going to remember the time where I lost 13 kilos, and I'm never going to explain it to my grandkids or grandkids. I lost 13 kilos one time. All right, granddad. Like, it's just not going to be a thing. But if I mentioned to them, like, oh, when I was 31 years old, I did my first MMA fight, and I had no previous background of mixed martial arts. And then along the way, I lost 13 kilos. Wow. Like, that's something that really... I replay that conversation as if it's probably not gonna happen. My grandkids might be, not even interested in the stories I tell, but it's something that excites me to talk about in the future. And if it excites me and I can be proud of that moment, then it moves on to the next phase, which is the implementation phase.
It's really it's so funny, because a lot of the things that you're saying, I completely agree with. And I have got my own methodology, but it comes to the same spot. And the first question you always ask is, do you want this? I mean, that's really the most important question, because do you want this, in my opinion, really clarifies and cuts away a lot of the BS, because it asks you to make a commitment to something. And if you don't want it, then no amount of willpower, no amount of energy is going to give you something that you don't want. And once you want it, then the question is, do I have the ambition to compass my goals, and then the will to see them through?
Awesome.
And it ends up in the exact same place that you said.
Yeah.
Because at the end of it, I'm going to look back and say, oh God, I can't believe I did that. It scared me to do that. It scared me to take on this challenge.
Yeah.
The world told me I couldn't. How much stock do you take into other people's opinion of what you can and what you are and are not capable of?
That's that's phase 3. That's the implementation plan. Like, first step is, if I go through that, if it's internally driven, it's a creative goal, and then I go through those 3 questions, and the implementation plan, first step is immediate action on it. If I'm going for that world record, like right now I'm talking about all this, and then I've lost the whole concept of, having 10 people in my group now. Compared to someone else's 20 people, I'm just on a new journey, and I've got to take immediate action on this goal,
Yeah.
So that's the first step. I'm going to take action today. And then the second step in the implementation plan is finding one person, him or her, who has done it or has done something similar. in my case for the world record, like I went straight to the Guinness World Records, and because no one else has broken a world record that I know.
Yeah.
So no one can talk to me about that one. So I don't take much stock. I listen to people, and it's not like inside my internal dialogue is not taking your advice on board, because I think it's important to get people involved. I'm really good at getting other people involved.
Sure.
But I choose to only take in the things that are going to help me get there, you know? So the only person that can tell me how to break or set a world record is Guinness World Records. You know, like it's pretty simple. So you got to find someone, or in that case, it was the judge, the Guinness World Record judge. I didn't know it at the time, but I ended up finding someone who knew the Guinness World judge who was going to come to the event. So I called him, got his number, and I called him straight away. You know, like that's how you got to do it. Like the same thing with the MMA fight. Like I'm not going to go to my family and friends. No disrespect. I'm not really going to go to my granddad to talk to about the MMA fight until I sort of feel. It sounds like a using way of thinking about it, but like not until I need his advice. Like I needed his advice moments before I stepped into that octagon.
Yep.
Because I needed his advice on performance.
Yes.
But in game plans and stuff like that, you need to have a coach or someone along the way who's going to guide you, who's been there and done it. So everything else is just white noise.
Yep.
You know, everything else is just like, it's just bouncing ideas off each other. Like my friend when I did the MMA fight, I called my friend straight away, big UFC fighter, fighting fan. I'm like, I'm going to do this MMA fight. And he's like, well, this is what you got to do in the MMA fight. You got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you got to do that. Not that I didn't listen to him, but I'm like, dude, you haven't done an MMA fight. Like, I'm only going to listen to the coach who's actually been there and done it. I love bouncing and having the conversation, but at the end of it, I'm not going to do what you tell me to do, because I'm only going to do what my coaches are going to tell me to do. I'm only going to do what the Guinness World Records judge is going to tell me to do, you know, because everyone who's organised an event before in the past, that's fine. They've organised events, but they've never done a Guinness World Record. So it's like I ask the questions to the coach, like the right questions to that coach. What do I got to do to succeed in this goal? You know, and they'll just say, "Look, this is what you got to do. Boom, boom, boom. What are 3 points I got to do? Do that." And then after that is the third thing in third phase is just do the fucking reps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that's the most important thing. People just don't do the reps. You know, like you got to do something every day. Every day, like Monday through to Sunday, hungover, you know, feeling down, just do something to get you towards that specific goal. Because as soon as you don't do it for a day, you know you feel guilty, and then that momentum swing, you know, the law of inertia, momentum builds momentum. Negative momentum can build negative momentum. So you just got to continue to do something every day to help you get there.
Tell us, what was the goal that you had for the Guinness World Record? What record did you seek to break?
I did 2 Guinness World Records. One was the largest boxing class in the world, so the most amount of people doing a boxing class.
Awesome.
Yeah, so 454 people set the first ever Guinness World Record for the largest boxing class in the world.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
So the second one was the most amount of people doing burpees in 2 minutes. So that wasn't as fun as the boxing one. There was something a bit more emotional behind the boxing one because it was for suicide prevention. It was always charity based.
Sure.
So that's what I mean. Look, doing 400, I have to get 454 people to a Guinness World Record. Stuff the guy down the street who's doing 20. You know, like I'm on a different journey, on a different path. And the funny thing was that person who I used to compare myself to brought all his clients to my event. You know what I mean? So it's just like it works hand in hand. You don't have to compete with people. You can collaborate. The more you collaborate to help you get what you want, maybe you can help them get what they want. Because when he was down there and when he had 20 people, I gave him a shout out on stage going, look, guys, you know, he's really good at strength and conditioning. Make sure you get down to his sessions. Like I promoted him in the event, you know, I didn't really compete with him. Does that make sense?
It does.
That's where it doesn't become externally driven. I can give more it feels good in that sense to give more of myself instead of like, nah, I've got to come up with the best strategy to beat this guy, you know? It just doesn't feel right to do that.
And with so there's obviously some personality skills, technical skills, different kind of skills that come together to create this goal setting and this goal driving mindset. And you've said negative momentum builds negative momentum, positive momentum builds positive momentum. How do you find it in you to do the reps on the days you don't want to do the reps? Because I think that's a challenge that we've all come across. I know I've been guilty of it. There are days where stuff needs to get done and I just don't have it in me to do it. What have you found to be some tactics to sort of overcome that?
It depends on what you want to focus on. Like, I mean, bouncing around like Guinness World. If we go back to the Guinness World Record, it's a little bit harder to do the reps around Guinness World Record because no one's done it before. That was the thing that drove me though. It's like no one's done this before, Liam. Keep going, man. Like I've got an interview with the Sydney Morning Herald today. Fuck, I've got to show up to that.
That's right.
Like it's just forcing yourself in a position where you can't back out is probably one thing. But if you're talking about fitness, like the MMA fight, is one thing. Having an end date. Having an end date is the one thing that drives me. Now I don't have an end date with anything. Like my training has dropped. Like I haven't trained in 2 weeks, dude.
I see, yeah.
I'm right there back with you again. It's not like I'm on a different plane. It's like as soon as my goal is accomplished, I'm right back down, not down, but like I'm right back in that position of like the rebuilding phase, So I think that's fine to be like that. If you skip a day or two, fair enough. But if you're skipping weeks, then it's like, well, you've got to reestablish that goal, and maybe that goal is not really exciting and scary enough that you want to accomplish it. It's too small.
Yeah.
If it's a general weight loss goal, like it's too small. 3 kilos, it's easy. You've done 3 kilos, so you're trying to accomplish something that you've already done. So you're like a mouse on the wheel. Then if we're talking about a fat loss goal,
yep,
you're a mouse on the wheel because you've already achieved it. So for me, I try and convince myself in different formats to keep that weight down. If we're talking about general public now,
well, that's right. I mean, I think what you're saying, if I understand you correctly, is that in your opinion, there's a lot of people who don't set goals that scare them. And because they don't set goals that scare them, the goals don't get achieved. Is that right?
100%. You don't do the reps because it's not exciting enough to get there. Like if you're going to do a bodybuilding competition and you've got to be on stage and you're getting judged on your appearance, if you don't have an end date of like November 2nd, you're going to miss out on the training today because you're like, I don't have a purpose to get out of bed today, But sometimes people, I always have to deceive myself in the purpose, Like I have to continue to set goals. Like in the MMA fight, I've just done it. Like I've done it, so I've got no goal right now. So I miss out on 2 weeks worth of training. Now I'm like, well, I've got to reestablish a goal again because otherwise my standards are going to slip of myself. And that's what motivates me to continue to train and do something every day and do the reps. When I set something that's big enough that excites me and scares me at the same time.
What about accountability? I mean, sometimes you're right. Accountability is quite easy. For example, with the Guinness World Record, well, on X date, there's going to be 454 people participating in the class. And, if you don't achieve that goal, it's going to, there'll be less money for suicide prevention and there's stuff that follows. Do you think that if people are not being accountable to themselves, that they should set a more scary goal? Is that
100%? Like if I mean, I look at it this way. There's three different events or 2 different events that I did before the Guinness World Record boxing class. Before I even knew I was going to do a Guinness World Record boxing class. The first one I had 18 people in a 4-week boxing challenge, boot camp. 4 weeks consecutively to raise money for one of my clients' boyfriends who had testicular cancer. So we did 4 sessions. It was a pain in the ass doing 4 sessions, because it was 4 sessions back to back, but I only had 18 people there. It's like 18 to 454 is a big difference. But when I had the 18, I was like, oh, I'm pretty stoked that I got 18 people there. But I just probably wouldn't do this again because 4 weeks just to help one person. I want to just do it in one session. So the next one that came up, it just didn't happen frequently. But the next one that came up, I had 50 people. One of my clients had throat cancer, so we just got 50 people to donate some money and do one boxing class. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you need that accountability, but you need that essence of evolution, and continuously evolving with that particular goal. If that makes sense.
Absolutely, it does.
people get stuck in this same rat on a wheel mentality of like, I got to lose 10 kilos. I got to lose 10 kilos. It's just fucking boring. Your subconscious doesn't. It's not boring. It's boring.
Yeah.
You know, you've done it. You've done it. You know you can do it. So what's the point of going on that mouse and wheel? Why don't you just do something with your body now? Why don't you get down to a weight and do something with it, with that body? Achieve something more. You know, do 100 muscle ups in a challenge. That's a goal that I've always wanted to achieve. You know, do something. It doesn't have to be an end date, but always good to have an end date on board. All those things will help with that accountability. I don't know if that answers your
It
question.
does, absolutely it does. And let's move now on to, I guess, you have a new PT business where, I mean, you've been a PT for quite some time. You've got a lot of experience, a lot of skills, but you've launched this new service where you kind of act as an online coach, provide online support and assistance, and help people reach their goals. I found it really interesting because there's kind of this tiered approach, which was really impressive to me, which was you start off, so what was the wording?
Achiever.
Yeah, you start off as an achiever, then you move to a
Succeeder.
and then you become a leader.
Yeah.
How did you come up with this? Because it's a really good approach.
Is it? I kind of, if I'm going to be honest with you, I just made it up. Like
It worked.
I thought about it. Like, what's the number one thing? First of all, you know, when I want to enter back into the online coaching space, what's the number one thing that people are lacking? Is it really the fact that they don't want to put the wrong foods in their mouth, or is it really that the fact that they just want to turn up to the gym every day, or is it the fact that they're missing something a little bit deeper? You know, or like I'm trying to work on a different playing compared to the usual goal setting of the SMART principle. You know, that really annoys me. The SMART principle. Just it's good that it works out that way, but I think there's no emotion behind that, and that it's not building the right habit. And the right habit for me is setting people challenges, challenging yourself. So the first 30 days of coming into our program is you've got to challenge yourself, and you've got to push through something physically, because when you break down those physical barriers, that's when you gain that mental and physical strength. So, of course, who the hell wants to do 200 push-ups? You know, like as one of the challenges. But you picked the challenge. You said you're going to do it. I want you to do it. You know, that's what we talk about as well, that concept of you saying you're going to do something, you do it. Because everyone else is just full of hot air if it's not going to be the case, you know. So that's why I set those 30-day challenge, not to have one challenge of losing 5 kilos, because that's what everyone does. We set a challenge a week, or 4 challenges. You can do 4 challenges in one day if you want to, but get those 4 challenges done, because building that habit of challenging yourself first, then you know that you can move to the next level and set a bigger goal and then accomplish that goal. So the first challenges might be 200 push-ups. It's painful. It's stressful. I don't want to do it. I'd rather be sitting down, having a coffee or watching Netflix, to be honest. I would rather do that. But I would also rather, you know, feel that pain, because I don't think going on a big tangent, but I don't think we're designed to put on this planet Earth to be happy all the time. We've been sold that lie, honestly. We're not put on this planet to be happy. We're put on this planet to feel every single emotion possible. We're put on this planet to feel pain, to feel pleasure, to feel depressed, to feel anxious, to feel all these emotions. That's what being a human being is. So I'm trying to figure out for people to not sell them something that, oh, we're here to make you happy. No, we're here I'm here to challenge you. So then you can build that challenge, move to the next phase, and then pick a bigger fucking challenge that really excites you and scares you, like running 5Ks or running a marathon or running a half marathon or doing a 1K swim, you know, which I've done all these things myself. I wouldn't put things in there that I haven't done myself, you know. And then from the next phase, you can be a leader, because being a leader is the third phase. I don't know where I heard this quote. I've done a lot of self-development courses, but in order to learn it, you must teach it. So that's why if you've gone through that process of challenging yourself, and then you've gone through the process of succeeder, where you've set a big goal like a marathon, if you accomplish it in a certain period of time, like 2 months or whatever it is, and then you can move on to be a leader by helping other people, by teaching them. Not the same process. I'm not trying to be create a cult or anything, but just helping other people, because you learn you learn more about yourself the more you teach other things. So that's what I want. I want people to leave me. I want people to leave, and be a leader so they can just have that essence of like helping people create more challenges for themselves, and then create them to urge them to set a bigger goal, and then them can be a leader themselves. So
I mean, absolutely. I think you've hit the nail on the head. There is a real, almost an idea that, we're never meant to be challenged. We're never meant to be unhappy. We're never meant to struggle. We want a life free of struggle. And the struggle gives life meaning. It really does, because a life without struggle doesn't matter. It's not, and meaningful struggle is really the most important thing. So that's what I really liked about the challenges, because the challenges, for those who don't know, are like super varied. There's like strength challenges, there's endurance challenges, and Liam doesn't go, yo, you got to do this one. He goes, pick the one that you think is going to challenge you, and then do that one.
Yep.
So for example, my brother's a champion rower. I can't row at all. My challenge was a rowing challenge. So it's really about developing that kind of mindset around that. So going back to your concept, I want you to tell me, and I know it's a hard one because the time has flown. Mm-hmm. What are the 3 most important things that people should know about your concept, about sports psychology, and about psychology and goal setting in general? What are the 3 lessons you really want people to take away?
Just those 3 phases: self-awareness, ask yourself questions, and just fucking have an implementation plan. Just to have those 3 elements. Like, I think, being aware of yourself and being aware of what motivates you, and getting away from being internally driven. Like, I know I'm going on a massive tangent, but those 3 elements, self-awareness, asking yourself the right questions, emotional questions, and then having an implementation plan, and going through that implementation plan is the 3 keys for me, I reckon.
And you think that if I wanted to start my journey, what's the first thing I should do? Let's say somebody's listening to this and they're super, this resonates with them. What would you suggest they go out in there and do?
Well, what's their goal? What are they looking to achieve?
Right, so
like, let's get down to the is it weight loss? Is it like, it depends. Like,
I guess the first question is, what is your goal?
Yeah, what's your goal? Like, being clear on what you want. And if you don't know what you want, then just keep this is another thing before we go. I know we're probably going time.
No time. We've got all the time in the world,
mate. This time last year, I just finished. It was June last year. I got a new job as in medical sales. The year before that, I was a personal training manager. So I looked after 23 personal trainers at Fitness First Market Street. So I worked in a gym. I was a business coach for personal trainers.
Sure.
And I didn't train. Don't you think that's ironic? Like, for that year, that was the worst year of my life for training, for my own personal training. But I didn't know in that year, when I left there, I'm setting a goal like, I want to do something with my physical fitness again. I've done marathons previous to this. I've done all this, blah, 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 all these goals, but I'm back to square one again. So in June last year, I'm on a journey now to find my next goal. So I just did anything. So I started doing CrossFit. So if I don't know my goal, then I'm going to go out searching for my goal. So sure. I sort of worked backwards. I went implementation plan first, and then I went, started with that awareness sort of strategy. So I went from June to October last year, I just did CrossFit. And I said to myself, I don't like CrossFit after a month or 2, because it's like, it could be, that thing where I'm going to get injured and stuff like that. I'm going to find out for myself, let's just go and do it CrossFit. Just pay the membership, go and do it. So I still didn't have a goal physically, and then at the end of CrossFit, a goal popped up where I ended up representing the Italian OzTag national team in the World Cup last year.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, well, that's my purpose. I'm going to go and just train for that. But I only had 2 weeks preparation for that, because I only found out that I made the team. So that became a goal. Like, it only came on the back of, from June to October, of not even having a goal, but just rocking up to training, just to find what my next thing is, So it's okay to do that. But people stop and think about what my next goal is and ponder and do all these fucking drawing, and that's fine to do that, but you got to use your body if it's a physical goal, if it's a weight loss goal, whatever it is,
If it's a mental goal, you got to use your mind.
you got to use your mind. Exactly right. So in October last year, and after that, I got injured. After that OzTag tournament, I got injured in the World Cup. We made the quarterfinals, first Italian team to make the quarterfinals in a World Cup. So
Wow.
which is awesome. But I tore my hammy and my adductor, so I was out for 12 weeks. I couldn't run. So there goes CrossFit, and then I was back to it again. I didn't have a goal, didn't have a purpose. So I go, what's the one thing I can do with my hammy and my adductor to the physio that I had? She goes, start swimming. So I just started swimming. So I just did. I was just like, I didn't even know what I'm going to do this, but I'm just going to just start swimming. I'm terrible at swimming, so I'm going to start swimming. Went there 3 times a week with my partner. She's a good swimmer. And just kept swimming. And out of nowhere, a goal popped up for the Cole Classic Challenge, 1K ocean swim. I'm like, I had 8 days preparation. I'm like, I've been swimming. Let's just go and do it. So what I'm trying to say is that you don't have to have a goal set in mind before you go and achieve it. You know, it doesn't have to be like that. Sometimes just going to train just to train and just do something a little bit different that you've never, and challenge yourself in different arenas that you never thought you could, and not have any particular outcome involved in it. I know it sounds a bit counterintuitive after what I've just said.
No, not at all.
But if you don't have a goal, go searching for it, and go searching for it by trying different things. But give yourself a time frame. Don't give yourself one session of CrossFit and go, yeah, I'm a CrossFit master. I said to myself, I'll give myself 2-3 months of CrossFit. That's it. I'm going to quit CrossFit if I don't like it. Going to pay my membership. 3 months. I can't remember exactly the time frame, but 3 months. I'm going to rock up 3 months. And then the same thing with the swimming goal. I'm going to give myself 2 months of this because I hate swimming. I hate it. But I'm going to give myself 2 months of this hatred. And on the back of it, I succeeded on that goal. And then February came around again. I didn't have a goal. And then I saw a Wim to Warrior amateur MMA challenge that popped up on Facebook. I'm like, 10 years ago, I said I wanted to always do this. It's important to me. All went through that process, clicked on it, went to a training session, and the rest is history.
Wow.
So that's how you continue. That's how I continue to do it. Sometimes if I don't have a goal, just keep doing something that you just always want to try. Whether it's yoga, do a yoga for like 2 months, but just do it. So just give it your best shot for a couple of months. Go, I'm going to go 3 times a week for 2 months, and then go out and accomplish it. And then see if what happens on the back of that. You might want to go do a yoga retreat. You might want to do a 10-day no talking,
absolutely
yoga challenge, which is probably what I need right now. You know what I mean? So anyway, like that's sometimes it can work backwards. You don't have to set up a goal and then go and achieve it. Sometimes just go and achieving things. That's why I have that 3-step process with my online PT business. Is that you start with just achieving, just to be comfortable with just achieving, and then work on a goal.
Everybody, this was episode 16. My guest, Liam Zollo, talking about sports psychology. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, mate. Appreciate it.